North Gauteng High Court has ruled that the Department of Basic Education should publish matric results across all media platforms. This decision comes after lobby group Afriforum filed an urgent application challenging the department's decision not to publish the results. We get your reaction from the Department of Basic Education. We're joined by Mr. Mhlanga. Mhlanga, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Perhaps a quick reminder as to why the department had taken this decision and your reaction following this court ruling.
Well, the reason, good afternoon, the reason we took the decision was that we had looked at the implications of the Protection of Personal Information Act, which looked like it was preventing us from making available people's personal information without their consent, among other issues, but also the fact that there are identifiers there, such as the exam number, which to us felt like they could identify who the people are. And we therefore thought that it's important for us to be safe and take a decision that would not make that information available. But it didn't end there. We also went on to have discussions with the information regulator, and we considered our position after those consultations. And of course, in the course of that discussion, there were varying interpretations of what the Act provided for, and we thought it would be best for the courts to make a ruling to clarify what it is that the department can do and what it cannot do. So we have noted that judgment today, and we did not oppose it. We are going to make the information available, but we are happy that it's the court that has made a directive that we should make that information available. We did not stop our systems. We are ready. We are going to be making that information available, except that there are conditions, and the conditions are contained in that court ruling, which everyone needs to adhere to.
I appreciate that you're still maybe going through the court papers, but are you at liberty to maybe tell us about those conditions?
Well, yes. One of the provisions in the Act is that once the information has been used, it must be destroyed, which means the media houses can't keep that information for other purposes other than for what they have requested them, which is to avail results to individuals. Any other purpose would therefore be in conflict with the law. So we are going to be explaining that to our colleagues in the media, especially those that send requests to publish matric results. It must also be noted that it's not everyone, it's not every media platform that wants to do this. It's those that have filed requests to the department, having gone through a process, having gone through a process that is there, that is established, which allows us to work with them so that we're able to share securely the information that they require for their own purpose.
How many media houses?
Well, there's about 10 or so media houses, and in addition to that, you have institutions of higher learning and other organizations that conduct research. So it's not just the media. There were other people that were involved in this, but they didn't have a problem with the decision. So it's only the media, I guess, because there's business to be made out of accessing the results for publication purposes, because we know that at this time, when they carry, especially newspapers and online platforms, when they carry the results, they make a few more sales. I guess that's why there was an elevated voice in terms of the objection or raising of concerns regarding that decision. But what we have communicated to them is that, colleagues, all of us now, we have a responsibility to look into the implications of the POPIA on the work that we do, especially if we're media organizations. We happen to handle people's personal information, especially if we're a government department such as ours, where we handle information of 13.5 million children. We need to be guided by the law in terms of what happens. So we cannot continue as though things have not changed, when in fact things have changed. So we need to go back and work. In fact, this is the beginning of things in terms of compliance with this particular piece of legislation. We need to make sure that we stay on the right side of the law, all of us.
So, Mr. Mhlanga, when you say the beginning of things, please expand for us.
We need to read it. We need to read the definition of personal information. We need to know what identifiers are. We need to know the different exclusions that are there, what is allowed and what is not allowed. And there are training, there are workshops that need to be had. We've already gone through workshops and others as well. It's a new piece of legislation, which means we all need to understand it. We need to make sure that we are fully conversant with the provisions that are there, but also the conditions that are there for different organizations, particularly media and government departments and other entities. In fact, it's for everyone, including individuals who handle people's personal information. So it's a new act, it's complex, it needs to be understood quite well. We have spoken with the information regulator, who have also themselves committed to making sure that they increase awareness around the implementation of this act. So there's a lot of work that we need to do, because you could easily contravene it without knowing. And ignorance in law, they say, is not an excuse, which means we have a responsibility to consciously work towards understanding what it requires of us, because we have seen that some people thought this act is for certain people and not for them. And that can't be so. We all have a responsibility to comply. It's a national law which all of us need to abide by.
Indeed. So come Friday, what happens?
Come Thursday, the minister will announce the results, and she will say what the pass rate is for the nation and unveil other details regarding the administration of the examinations. And then on Friday, provinces will do the same. But candidates will be able to collect the printed statement of results at the school where they sat for the examination. But for those platforms that are going to be carrying the results, they will be asking people to register to get those results, just like the department has already done on its website, saying if you want to receive them, you can register using your exam number and your ID number. Other organizations are allowed to, in fact, are expected to do that, so that people's privacy is also respected and that the information is accurate. The other area, by the way, in the Act is the quality of information. So media houses also have a responsibility to ensure that they don't carry a runner's data, as it has happened in the past in some instances, where a learner was thought to have failed after she viewed the results in a newspaper, only to find that the results at school indicate that she has passed. But by that time, she has caused harm to herself, because she couldn't take the stress of being laughed at and that's the experience of having failed and other people seeing those results before she could. So there are those types of things that we need now to take into account. That's why the department urges candidates to go collect the statement of results at the school where they sat for the exam. But of course, those media organizations that have requested the department to share their data, we are going to be doing so. Our system is ready for that.
With that dynamic of a learner who found her results in a publication indicating she'd failed, but when she went to school, she had passed and eventually caused harm to herself. We spoke to Satu a little bit earlier on, expressing disappointment with this court decision. Mr. Fakute also pointed out the same example, maybe not the same in terms of details, but something similar to what it is that she was saying. With saying that, though, Mr. Mhlanga, I wonder, is there some disappointment from the Department of Basic Education with this latest ruling?
Well, you know, we are in between a difficult situation where we need to protect the information of our young people, but we also need to make sure that they access good quality information. So yes, you could say there is some disappointment simply because we have taken a decision and that decision has not been changed by the court. So it is there, but we are not holding strongly to that view, because once the court has made that ruling, we need to abide by it. But our initial decision was well-founded in terms of POPIA and our interpretation of some of the elements in it. And I'm saying it's the beginning of a lot of work to be done, because now we need to study the judgment together with our partners and then understand what it is that we need to do going forward. Everyone is talking about going forward. What do we need to do going forward so that we stay on the right side of the law? And we will be doing that. We've invited stakeholders to sit with us after the results have been released, sit down and find a way forward that will be suitable, amicable, and appropriate for everyone involved in this particular situation.
So a matric learner will be able to access their results via newspaper, if you will, come Friday, and we can anticipate no delays in the results.
Not at all. Not at all. We never stopped anything. Our system has been ready. We are ready. but they know, the media houses that work with us, they know that there's a way in which we work. There are deadlines there that need to be respected. Some of them in the past have ignored the embargo that we've put in place, and we'll be sharing our concerns in that regard with them, and will be assisted by this law right now. We always set that condition that please respect the embargo, but we'll find that some of them, they print many hours before that embargo. So we'll be raising that with some, we know who has been doing that, and others as well. We'll be sharing our concerns with them and asking them to please work with us so that we do business while thinking about the privacy and the dignity of the people who have sat for the exam.
Thank you very much, sir, for availing yourself this afternoon. Elijah Mhlanga speaks for the Basic Education Department.